organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, hear what President Sally Mason had to say about the recently announced tuition hike proposal.
Plus, with Halloween right around the corner, we take a look at a local pumpkin farm.
And in sports, after a crushing loss to Minnesota last season, we see what Kirk Ferentz had to say about this weekend's road challenge against the Golden Gophers.
That's all coming your way next.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Thanks for tuning into your Tuesday edition of Daily Iowan TV, your television news, sports, and weather source for the Daily Iowan. I'm Megan Grody.
And I'm John Detcott. The Iowa Board of Regents announced last Friday that they plan to consider raising in-state tuition by 3.75% next year at Iowa's 3 public universities. UI President Sally Mason sat down with Daily Iowan TV Tuesday to discuss the issue.
It's never fun to raise tuition under any circumstances, and we have worked really hard not to raise it too high, and we certainly aren't doing what a lot of other states or a lot of other universities are doing, and yet we have costs that continue to rise.
President Mason, currently in her 5th year at the UI, also fielded questions about recent allegations of sexual misconduct by UI employees and about safety on campus as we near the 20th anniversary of the Gang shootings. As the Occupy Iowa City movement enters its 18th day, President Mason also reminisced about her younger days when she was involved in similar movements.
I marched for civil rights, and I marched for women's rights, and I marched to end the war in Vietnam. So for me, you know, and I'm watching movements across the world. One of the great things about a democracy, one of the great things about living in a free society is that peaceful protests, expressions like this, social movements, can often affect change in very positive ways.
Check out Wednesday's pages of the Daily Iowan for the full interview with President Sally Mason.
UI alum Mark Wetjen has been appointed to the Commodity Future Trading Commission after receiving approval by the U.S. Senate last Friday. The Dubuque native earned his doctorate from the UI's law school in 1999 and has spent the last 7 years on Senator Harry Reid's staff. Wetjen was nominated to his recently appointed position by President Obama earlier this year. The CFTC is an independent agency of the U.S. government responsible for regulating the market.
2 UI Writers Workshop alumni are the most recent recipients of the 2011 Winning Writers Awards. Poets Shane McCrae and Eduardo Corral were presented with the award Tuesday in New York. This $50,000 award is given to just 10 young writers, and dozens of UI Writers Workshop alumni have won it since its induction in 1985.
And still to come on Daily Iowan TV, learn about a new media research lab located in the Adler Journalism Building.
Plus, see what the Iowa players had to say in preparation for this weekend's battle for the Floyd of Rosedale. But first, Daily Iowan TV's Christina Targos joins us in the studio for a look at your local weather forecast. Christina?
It was beautiful out there today, but don't get too comfortable because Wednesday will cool down significantly and we might see some rain during the day. You can expect a chilly 45 degrees around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. It looks to warm up to just about 47 degrees by noon, and by 9 p.m. it should again dip down to about 42 degrees. As we look at the extended forecast, you can expect slightly warmer conditions than what we would see Wednesday. We'll see mostly clear skies and temps in the 50s as we make our way through the week, and it should get up to the low 60s by next week. Overnight lows will hover in the 30s and may get into the low 40s early next week. That's your check of the weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Christina. A new media research lab is coming to the Adler Journalism Building. The new lab will make research easier for students, particularly PhD students. This facility will offer everything from cameras and computers to devices for recording phone interviews and software which will assist in the collection of analysis and research data.
Well, I think it's going to allow us to do a lot more research than we've been able to do. Not everything that we do requires a lot of technology, but we've been pretty limited in what we've been able to do in terms of experiments and other kinds of work, mostly with human subjects. And so this should allow us to be able to be a lot more productive, which is really, really important in terms of bringing the school prestige.
Funding for this was made possible by the late Les and Dorothy Moeller. Les Moeller served as director of the J School for 2 decades in the late 40s through the 60s. A ribbon-cutting ceremony to commemorate the opening of this new facility will take place this Friday at noon in the rotunda of the Adler Journalism Building.
We're already into late October, which means pumpkins are in high demand. And one local farm gives Iowa City residents plenty of opportunities to enjoy the fall season. Daily Iowan TV's Kyle Hughes has the story.
Wilson's Orchard is known for its 120 varieties of apples. But as Halloween approaches, a different crop takes center stage. Fall is a special time of year here at Wilson's Orchard, and in October, it means it's pumpkin picking time. With anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 pumpkins each year, Wilson's Orchard offers an experience unique from just going to the store.
People like going out to get their pumpkins, and I think that's what we offer. That's pretty hard to replace. You know, I think it's that, you know, something to do with the family that you feel good about.
Parents and their children flock to the farm just north of Iowa City to enjoy the trails and scenic views provided by the pumpkin patches next to Rapid Creek. The orchard also offers activities like their fall festival, pumpkin bowling, and a pumpkin hunt, where picking the biggest pumpkin earns you a prize. Kyle Hughes, reporting for Daily Iowan TV.
And of course, whether it's for carving out a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween or crushing up pumpkins to make a pie for Thanksgiving, this is certainly the time of year for pumpkins.
And now Daily Iowan TV Sports' Kate Constable is here for your look at Hawkeye sports. Kate?
After their homecoming victory over the Hoosiers, Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes turned their attention to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Captain Kirk met with the media on Tuesday to discuss the upcoming challenge.
Just last weekend, obviously, again, a good win. Happy to get the win. The crowd was fantastic. Our crowds have been tremendous. We appreciate that, certainly. And then, last but not least, just happy for Mark McNutt and receiving Big Ten Player of the Week honors with other really good players.
Last year, the Gophers surprised the struggling Hawkeyes in Minneapolis, and Coach Kirk Ferentz said there was no mystery as to why the Hawkeyes lost.
As I mentioned, their team's playing hard right now. They're making probably too many mistakes. He'd probably be the one to tell you that really hurt them. But I think, you know, if you look at it statistically right now, the area they're doing the best is on special teams. No big surprise, playing hard in all 3 phases. And
maybe it's the loss from the last game, or maybe the heat of rivalry. But as we know, the Hawks never take an opponent lightly.
You know, I'll go back to this game last year. We didn't play well, and they did. It's about as simple as that. They came ready to play. We did not, and they outplayed us all 3 areas, you know.
There's always a different feeling to rivalry games in college athletics, especially when your team is on the losing end. Daily Iowan Sports' Nick Robertson talked to some of the Iowa football players about how it felt last year to lose to their rivals from the north.
Most Hawkeye fans can vividly remember the pain of losing to a 1-win Minnesota team to close out their disappointing 2010 campaign. No one probably remembers it more than the Iowa football team.
I couldn't tell you why they beat us, but they got touchdowns. They played physical and they played tough.
The tradition of storming the other team's sidelines after winning a trophy game can be chaotic at moments. Iowa football players can all agree on the feeling when the opposing team comes over to their sideline.
Yeah, it's not the greatest feeling in the world. You just kind of want to get out of the way and get into the locker room.
It's the worst feeling, and it's something that you always remember, and that you hope to never feel again.
It's always pain when you lose a trophy game, especially a rival game like that. And now they have that pig.
On the other hand, players are excited to return the favor by bringing the Floyd of Rosedale back to Iowa City.
We want to get the trophy, run over there and get it, and bring it back home. Just seeing them take it last year, it just made it more important to get it back this year and bring it back home. So I'm very excited to play in this rivalry and be a part of it.
I mean, it's a great feeling. I mean, just to be able to go over to the sideline and get it and just bring it back to Iowa.
Well, yeah, I think definitely to be able to get that victory and to know that we get to go over and get that, it'd be huge. We lost our first trophy game this year, and they took that from us last year, so I think it's something we're all looking forward to.
Nick Robertson, Daily Iowa TV, Sports.
And if we look at last year's stats, you can see Minnesota held an advantage over the Hawkeyes in most phases of the game. Minnesota recorded 382 yards to Iowa's 218 for the day. Another big difference was the ability to hold on to the rock. Iowa fumbled 3 times, one of which put an end to the Hawkeyes' game-winning drive. So John and Megan, I think we can expect a pretty exciting game on Saturday. Back to you.
Thanks, Kate. And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek into Wednesday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about the effect budget cuts are having on the growing class sizes in the Iowa City School District, plus see how Iowa's nationally ranked men's golf team finished up at the U.S. Collegiate Championship.
And before we go, here's one last look at Wednesday's forecast. Tomorrow is going to be a bit chilly with a high of 47 degrees and a 20% chance of showers. Wednesday night looks to be mostly cloudy with a low of 35.
That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out at the same time tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
For Daily Iowan TV, thanks for watching and have a great night.